Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Hello everyone, good morning. We are from group 2 and we will present the result of our discussion with the topic designing research. First, I will share screen. Okay, you can you see it, guys?
Yes, Ica.
Okay. Before that, I will mention my friends. First material will be explained by me, Vanessa Gelazara. The second material will be explained by Monica Fitri Aryani, and the last material will be explained by Nurul Isnaini. Okay, we will go to first material. I will explain about the introduction. The introduction. First, the importance of introduction. An introduction is the first passage in journal article, dissertation, or scholarly research study. Its purpose is to establish a framework for the research so that reader can understand how it is related to other research. Special care must be given to writing an introduction as it establishes the issue or concern leading to the research by conveying information about the problem. For example, to identify the issue of teenage pregnancy is to point to a problem for women and for society at large. When the problem is not clear, it is difficult to understand all the other aspects of a research study, especially the significance of the research. The next is an abstract for a study. An abstract is a brief summary of the contents of a study. It allows reader to quickly survey the essential elements of a project. Okay, some college and university have requirements for an appropriate length, and the APA publication manual says that most abstracts are from 150 words, and they are the major components that I would include in an abstract. The content varies for abstract for a report, a literature review, a theory-oriented paper, and for a methodological paper. Okay, next is qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method introduction. A general review of all introductions show that they follow a similar pattern. The author announces a problem and justifies why it needs to be studied. The type of problem presented in an introduction will vary depending on the approach. And then a mixed method study can employ either the qualitative or quantitative approach or some combination to write an introduction, and then next material is a model for introduction. The deficiencies model of an introduction is an approach to writing an introduction to a research study that builds on gaps existing in the literature. It includes the elements of studying the research problem, reviewing past studies about the problem, indicating deficiencies in these studies, and advising the significance of the study. Okay. And it consists of 5 parts, and a separate paragraph can be devoted to each part. First, state the research problem, review studies that have addressed the problem, indicate deficiencies in the studies, advance the significance of the study for particular audience, and state the purpose statement. The next material will be explained by Monica Fitri Aryani. Time is yours.
Okay, I want to continue the presentation. Is the title about the research problem. In Terenzini and Colagos 2001 article, the first sentence accomplished but primary objective was for an introduction, piquing interest in the study and covering a distinct research problem or issue. To learn how to write good narrative books or narrative hooks, study first sentence in the leading journal in different fields of study. So when we designing the opening paragraph of a proposal, which include the research problem, keep in mind these are research tips. First, write an opening sentence that will simulate reader interest as well as convey as issue to which a broad audience can relate. Second, as a general rule, refrain for using quotation, especially long ones in the lead sentence, because it will be difficult for readers to grasp the key idea you would like for them to see. Next, stay away from idiomatic expression or trite phrases. And consider numeric information for impact and clearly identify the research problem and indicate why the problem is important by citing numerous references that justify the need to study the problem. And make sure that problem is framed in a manner consistent with the approach to research in the study. And last, consider and write about whether there is a single problem involved in the proposed study or multiple problems that lead to a need for the study. Next slide. Studies addressing the problem. After re-establishing the research problem in the opening paragraph, Terenzini and Colagos 2001 next justified its importance by reviewing studies that have examined that issue. The purpose of reviewing studies in an introduction is to justify the importance of the study and to create distance between past study and the pros one. To review the literature relate to the search problem for an introduction to a proposal, consider these research tips. First, refer to the literature by summarizing groups of studies, not individuals. Next, to deep size single studies, place the in-text reference at the end of the paragraph or that the end of a summary point about several studies. And next, review research study that use quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method approach. Find research and last, find recent literature summaries such as that published in the past 10 years. Cite older studies if they are valuable because they have been widely referenced by another. And the next material, deficiencies in the past literature. After we advancing the problem and reviewing the literature about it, the research then identifies deficiencies found in the literature. When we identify these deficiencies in the past literature, proposal developers might use the following research tips. First, cite several deficiencies to make the case even strong for a study. Second, identify specifically the deficiencies of other studies. And the next, write about areas overlooking by past studies, including topics, special statistical treatment, significant implication, and so forth. And the last, discuss how a proposed study will remedy these deficiencies and provide a unique contribution to the scholarly literature. Next slide. And the next material, significance of a study for audience. The more audience that can be mentioned, the greater the importance of the study and the more it will be seen by readers to have wide application. In the design this section, one might include the following. First, 3 or 4 reasons that the study adds to the scholarly research and literature in the field. Second, there are 3 or 4 reasons about how the study helps improve practice. And the last 3 or 4 reasons as to why the study will improve policy or decision making. I think that's all for me. Back to moderator.
Okay, thank you for Monica Fitri Aryani. We will go to the next material, or the last material will be explained by Nurul Isnaini. Time is yours.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I will continue the presentation about a purpose statement. Okay, guys, you can see on the screen, according to Luke's, Petros, and Silverman 2013, the purpose statement indicated what you want to do the study and what you intend to accomplish. In this case, the purpose statement conveys the overall intent of a purpose study in a sentence or several sentences. In proposal, researchers must clearly distinguish between the purpose statement, the research statement, and the purpose statement set the objective, the intent, or the main idea of a proposal or a study. Okay, wait, guys. The purpose statement conveys the overall intent of a proposed study in a sentence or several sentences. The purpose usually involves applying a theory to solve the problem. And in other words, the purpose tells the reader what the goal of the study is and what your study will accomplish. And in the end, the purpose statement also includes brief information about direction, scope, and where the data will come from. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, you can see on the screen, we will discuss about a qualitative purpose statement. Based on Swan 2007, he said that a qualitative research statement conveys an emerging design and use research word drawn from the language of qualitative inquiry. In addition, qualitative research deal with word or meaning, or we can call that non-numerical or textual data. And here are several basic design features for writing this statement. The first one, use words such as purpose, intent, or objective to signal attention to this statement as the central controlling idea. The second one is focus on single phenomenon or concept or idea. The third one is use action verb to convey how learning will take place. Example, you can use the word understand, develop, and explore. The next is use neutral words and phrases. The next is provide a general working definition on the central phenomenon or idea. Next, insert words to identify the exploration strategy of inquiry to base on the data collection, analysis, and the process research. Next, you can mention the participant in the study and identify the site, or we can call that location for the research. And the last one, we will include some language that delimits the scope of participant or research site or location in the study. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we will go to discuss about a quantitative purpose statement. Quantitative purpose statement explore how numerical variables relate or correlate with one another. This purpose statement will define the objective or intent, clarify the variables, and outline where the research will take place. In this case, there are 4 types of main variables. The first one is independent. Independent variables are what we expect will influence dependent variable. The second is mediating. Mediating variables is explain the relationship between independent and dependent variable, and it explain how or why there is a relationship between two variables. The third one is moderating. Moderating variables is a variable that affects that strength of relationship between a dependent and independent. And the last one we will have dependent. Dependent variable is what happens as a result of the independent variable. And you can see on the screen, there are major components of good quantitative purpose statement. The first one is include word to signal the major intent of the study. The second, identify the theory, model, or conceptual framework. The third one is identify the independent and dependent variable. Fourth, use words that connect the independent and dependent variables to indicate that they are related. The fifth, position or order the variable from left to right in the purpose statement. Next, mention the specific type or strategy of inquiry used in the study. Next, make reference to the participant in the study and mention to research site. And the last one, define each key variable using set and accepted established definition found in the literature. Okay, next slide, please. Here are the last explanation that I can explain. A mixed method purpose statement. A mixed method purpose statement contains the overall intent to the study, information about both of the study, and original incorporating both strain to study the research problem. The statement needs to be identified in the early of the study and provide major signposts for reader to understand quantitative and qualitative part of the study. And here are several guidelines to organization and presentation of the mixed methods purpose statement. The first is begin with word that signal intent. The second is indicate the overall purpose of the study from a content perspective. The third is indicate the type of mixed method design. And the last one is discuss the reason for combining both quantitative and qualitative data. And here are the possible reason. The third is develop a complete understanding of the research problem by converging quantitative and qualitative, also comparing the two databases. The second is to understand the data at a more detailed level by converging qualitative and quantitative, also comparing the two databases. And the third is to develop measurement instrument that actually fit a sample by first exploring quantitatively and using the information to design an instrument that can be tested with a large sample. And the last one is to incorporate this reason into a larger design. Okay, I think that's all that I can tell to you. I hope you can understand what I mean. And thank you. Back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you for my friends, Rol Islaini and Monica Fitri Aryani. That's all from us. That's all from us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.